We're going to go to New Jersey. So let's go to New Jersey as an example. This is just where I do some business. So we'll click on New Jersey. What's going to happen here is that what we'll do is that I'm going to show you exactly how I'll pull a lead list. So you have all the whole state of New Jersey, 614,000 properties. Obviously, we're not going to call 614,000. I'm just going to walk you through it. So let's just say whatever asset class you want to prospect, whether it's retail, office, industrial, or multifamily. I'm just going to do a multifamily list just to kind of give you a gauge. So we do multifamily. You'll go, that's the first thing we'll do, right? We'll click multifamily after you choose the state or the county or anything like that. So I'm going to choose New Jersey, multifamily. Then we're going to move over to owner. We're going to come back to building and lot afterwards. Obviously, you want to do includes a phone number. We're down to 17,000. Next thing we're going to do here, which by the way, you can either do company or person, or you can just leave it blank for the first time you're pulling some lists. But over time, person or company is going to give you different results. Company is typically going to get you the larger asset classes. Person is obviously going to give you, larger assets, not asset classes, but larger assets in general. So like if you're calling much larger properties, you probably want to include company. If you're calling person, this is just, a person who owns the property, not in an LLC. This is just, they own it in their name. Either's fine. Obviously, owner occupied properties you don't really need to mess with, but something like in-state reported owner. So like this is like a decent one you can do where you can say, oh, I want to call out-of-state owners, right? That could be a decent thing to call, right? So if you want to get a really motivated list, that's kind of what I'm breaking down for you, right? So you might want to call person because they don't own it in an LLC. Maybe they're not a savvy investor or they've owned it for a long time. If you want to do out of state, so the in-state reported owner mailing address, we're going to say no, right? So an out-of-state owner. Next, you're going to go to building and lot, and we're going to go to properties that were built before the year 2000. Right? We don't want to call newer construction product. That probably doesn't make any sense. Everything else here you can kind of leave blank unless you want to play around with units, but not in Reonomy. Not everything actually shows the amount of units. Sometimes they don't have it. It's a 0, so it kind of screws with the numbers. But if you want to just play around with it, you can do 10 and see how many come up. So right now, see, like we just lost 90+% because we did 10 instead of 0, right? So I'm going to leave this blank for a second, but you can play around with this tool here. Next thing I'm going to do is sales. So I'm going to say it has not sold, so it has not sold within the last 5 years at least. Obviously, you can keep going back. You can do 5 years, 10 years. You can even go to custom, and you can go down to 20 years. It's on for 20 years or 20. So this would be not sold in the last 20 years. These are out-of-state owners, right? And then you can even play around with the taxes. So like obviously the state of New Jersey, taxes are a little bit on the higher side. So I might want to only call properties with 15 or 25 or $50,000 in taxes for a little bit larger properties, like the 30s, 50s, 80 units plus. But we could just do 15,000 in taxes. We're down to 121. This might be a pretty decent lead list to start, right? If I click apply, right, I'm only going to have 121 properties to call all over the entire state. These might be decent properties for me to be calling. I think I'm going to have some pretty good results if I were to pull this list. Now, obviously, some of them even say 1 unit, right? And it's owned by Dover Township. I mean, that's, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's a town in New Jersey. So just keep in mind, like, this is sort of like what I meant by, it's not exactly always perfect because it says person, not company. But we could even just say we unselect person. We're only changing it by 70. But this is probably where I would start. You can even do it a little bit more. I'll even show you this. You can do, let's say I say no. So we just leave this blank, includes a phone number, leave this blank. We're now up to 1,900 properties. Another couple things you can be doing is that when it's sold, the price that it's sold for, right? So what I'll do is like for retail and industrial or office, you can mess around with this meter here. So you can say like, okay, I only want to look at stuff that when it did sell previously 20 years ago, it sold for less than $50 a square foot. Okay, got it. So this is going to be a good price per square foot for retail, industrial, and office. Obviously, multifamily is not going to matter because it's more of a price per unit, obviously. But regardless, I'll just leave this marker here. That'll bring us to 415. I also can, let's just say, do 15,000 in taxes to, let's just say, 100,000 because I don't want to call the really, really large properties. So I'm going to eliminate like the really, really, really big stuff because probably not going to end up selling. What else can we be doing here? So I also can mess around with units. I can say, let's just say 10, right? I'll say 10 to, let's just say 200. And I'm going to have 75 properties here, 10 to 100. Let's see if that changes anything. Nope, doesn't change anything. 10 to 50. All right, just curious to see what kind of properties are in this list. But anyway, so I got 75 properties that are between 10 and 100 units. that are built before the year 2000 that have not sold in the last 20 years. When they did sell, they sold for less than $50 a square foot. The taxes are between $15,000 and $100,000, right? Includes a phone number. So I'm going to click apply, and I only got 75 properties in this list, so it's not exactly a great list, but this is going to be a good list for you to start with, okay? And now you can do this for any state that you want, right? So if we wanted to do this for Florida, if I wanted to do this for any state whatsoever, I can do this at any state over and over and over again. Now what you're going to do is, let's just say that we pull that list, right? So what we'll do is that we're going to go to that list again. I'm just going to click export, right? You go to export, you go to Reonomy, and you name it whatever the heck you want. You call it, New Jersey multifamily not sold within 20 years. I got to do a lot of abbreviating. Let's say statewide. I also want to do, let's say, 15K to 100K tax, and whatever. I'll keep labeling everything so I know exactly what my lead list is. I'll click export. Okay, so I'm actually going to export this list just to give you some reference. Okay, so we're going to click export here. It's exporting. Great. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to click stop share. And then what I'm going to do here is that we're going to go into the dialer. So we're going to go into Mojo. Wanted to kind of give you guys a step-by-step process here, right? Then we go into the dialer. So we're going to log into the dialer here. Give me a minute, and let me click submit. Logging in. Give me a minute. I gotta hide the passwords and stuff, Okay, and then I'm in the dead center of the screen. If you go to data and dialer, it says import file. There's just so many phone numbers on the screen. We're going to get blocked if I show you the screen yet, so give me a minute. I wanted to get to the screen where it just says import file, so just give me 1 second. I'm downloading it, so you're going to download your file, but I'm going to walk you through the Mojo steps, okay? Here we go. Let me share my screen again. We're going to choose file, okay? Now, obviously, I logged into Mojo, okay? So you can kind of see, we logged in. We're going to click on the lead list I just pulled. There you go. Next. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to call it whatever the heck we're going to call it. So we're going to go into calling list, and we're going to call it the same freaking thing that we just named it, okay? So normally what I would do is I would copy and paste the actual name, but in this case, I'm just going to retype it. So NJ multifamily not sold within 20 years plus units, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Save. So we're going to call it, because I want to be able to click on a list and go, oh, okay, got it. I'm calling that, and I know what exactly I'm calling, okay? So we're going to click that list. I hit a plus sign. I created the list. I'm going to click on it, make sure it's selected. If you're the only account, you don't got to worry about anything, and I can click next. Next, here we go. So now we're going to map it, okay? So now we got to map it out here. This is very, very important, and you can't screw this part up, okay? What I'm saying is let me say it differently. You could definitely screw this part up, and it will make your life very, very annoying. This is where you can't afford to screw it up, okay? You need to be paying attention to make sure everything's good. So I've saved a template, right? So you can go to template, and I can just click on Reonomy, okay? Now, obviously, you got to do it first, right? So I'm going to walk you through how to do it. So what you're going to do here is literally just type name. Okay, and then you're just going to make sure you can find the contact, reported owner name, right? You could also do full name and see if anything comes up. You can go owner, profile, reported name. I would do this. Don't do the link because it's a link, not a name. You're right. You want the name. So reported owner name is correct. Last name you can leave blank. Co-owner you can leave blank. Property address. Great. So we're going to do address. Okay, hold on. We got a person who's address full. There you go. So property address full. Nice and easy. You don't want to do all these things and put them all in the same place. Like you don't want to do address line 1, city, state. You don't want to do all that. If they have address full, that's always preferred. Now, here you can do that if you wanted to. Now, you could either do one or the other. You don't have to do all of it, but if you want to, you can. You can do property city instead of just doing address full. If your lead list does not have address full as an option, you can do all of these. Next, you're going to want to make sure you go to phone, okay, or mobile phone. Either one of these is perfectly fine. But what you're going to do is you're going to do the word phone. I'm just going to copy paste this because I have to type this 100 times. But type does not matter. If it says type, you don't need to do it. But you're going to do contact phone 1. Great. Next, phone again. 2. And you want to drop every single phone record, okay? Phone 3, contact phone 2, right? Like you want to do it as many freaking times, right? Contact 2, Contact 2, 3. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this until I think there's literally none left. Okay, so it's just 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, contact 3, 1. Contact 3, 2. Contact 3, 3. There we go. Now, again, you can do it for a phone or mobile phone. It really doesn't matter. Now, for notes, to make your life easier while you're prospecting, if you have Reonomy, I would recommend that you just click the word link. Add the link here. Very, very important. It makes your life so much easier, okay? Now I also like to mess around with some of the other things. I want to know like the total building area, which is the square footage, okay? Then I want to go to like things like total units. That would be helpful to look at really, really fast. You can also have things like year built. That might help you out. What else can we add that will make it really, really helpful? What about year built? Hold on one second. Let's see what else we got. Sale amount. Why not? Last time it sold. I want to know what it sold for last. That's probably fine. Okay, so you can add that all here. Really nice and easy. Don't got to think about much. It's all going to be in your notes. You're going to now click. You want to click Save Template. By the way, before you go anywhere, right? Save Template, and you're going to name it Reonomy, whatever the way you spell it. Reonomy import. There you go. Save as. Create new template. That's it. Okay, save. And then you'll have it. Okay, we're gonna go to next. Now I wanna see if I can screen, okay, there you go. Oh, wow, we can see more. Okay, so one thing you're gonna wanna do on the next page, because you don't see it here, but this is gonna process it. Okay, you're gonna make sure that it's all correct. So this is where you can double check it. And what it's showing here is that the phone on the do not call list, you can actually see which ones are on there. You can also see how many phones are duplicated in the database, which database means in Mojo already. Okay, so if you have imported a lot of lead lists like we have with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of records in Mojo already, you're probably gonna have some duplicates. What I don't mind is just having duplicates. That's fine. I'll call the number again. That is okay, right? So keeping old, right? You know, it's only going to import one freaking property. That would be really freaking stupid for me. I mean, most of you guys are not going to see that issue. But I want to do import new and old. So I want to make sure that I import new and old every single number on here, regardless if it's already in the Mojo database. Okay? If you have to go back, you can just click remap data. The remap data, you just click here, you can go backwards and make sure that things are correct, adjusting here. But always want to make sure it import and old. You're going to click finish import. Nice. We're going to do that. Now we're going to click, screw it. We're going to click stop share, actually, because that's going to process. Okay, you have it uploaded the correct way to Mojo. And then you just got to click on the the correct lead list, and then you're going to click dial. Right, you're going to connect to the dialer, and that's going to be it.